Dear students, welcome back to the another session of computer-based accounting lecture series. Today we will be discussing another important topic. This topic is called customer receipt and other income receipt. So automatically it is going to be the cash receipt cycle. How the company is going to receive the money by using the software package. So the basically main source of income is going to be the customer income received by you. And other than the customer income, company may receive any other income related to the company activities. So all the income received by the company need to be recorded into the system, whereby you will be able to generate required reports as well as the required source document which was given to the customers as well as to the other persons or the other institutions where the income is received by you. So in this particular chapter, we will be devoted and discussing totally how this model is going to work. When the customers pay your company for goods and services sold to them, you must record the receipt. So every item sold or service provided to the customer, any money received by the company in an official manner, all these items need to be given receipts. So those receipts need to be issued to the customer or the person who is making the payment to the organization. Most receipts are applied to the sales invoices. General practice is most of the income what you are going to generate from the system is going to be the income generated through the sales. So the invoices, sales invoice applications are different type. Very similar to the last module what we have discussed how to make the payments to the supplier. Here also we have many options available to get the money collected from the customers. One of the option is to collect the money from the customer is to get collected money for the outstanding bills, whereby that means the credit invoices. So once you issue the credit invoices to the customers, those money need to be collected from the customer. So the main source of income is going to be the collection of money from the customers related to the outstanding bills. Other than that, system allows you to do cash cash sales similar to the vendor purchases, cash sales without any invoice. Thirdly, we can make part payment to the we can collect part payments from customers at the time when the invoices are created. When the invoice created, we can collect the part payment from the customer for the given transaction. And also our customers may pay us prepayments. Prepayments can be collected from the customers that the service will be provided later date. So that is another option whereby we can collect the money from the customer. Other than that, same window will help us to pay repayments to the receive the money from the suppliers as well. If you have already returned some goods to the supplier and suppliers are not able to supply the balance amounts what we need to receive, and in that case refund money from suppliers also can accepted through this module. Other than that, the same window can be used to generate any other income source which you generated through the company activities. So if the company generating any other income, part of the business organization rented or receiving the interest income, all these can be recorded using the same window. So it is going to be a much more easy way of recording the transaction, whereby not like a supplier's payment module, there are no two options available like write check and pay bill option. So here we got only one receive money option whereby we can do all the activities basically by using that particular window. So to start up our discussion, recording the receipt from credit sales, we need to know how to access into the particular given window. As you can see, many options again available here. So I have mentioned three options to you. The first option will be the main menu task command, whereby we can click the task command main menu bar and then we can select the option called receipt, whereby we can access into the receipt window and collect the money from the respective people. Second method, if you are in the banking navigation center, there you can see receive money option button. By clicking that and selecting the receive money from customers button, we can do the same activities. Finally, we got the customer sales module, whereby we can go to the customer sales module, and at the customer sales module also you can see the button called receive money option. By clicking that and selecting the receive money from customers, we can do the same activity. So before we'll go and discuss the features of this particular window, let us now go to the package and check whether we all are having the finally done activities, and then look at how to access into the receipt window. So first, you go to the Peachtree package which you have completed with the last backup file, and see whether you have entered all the payment options. So if you have completed the lectures up to now by using the Peachtree package up to the last chapter, so you may be having all these transactions recorded already in the system. At present, how many transactions we have completed? So you can check that by going to the report and forms option, whereby you can select the general ledger, and there you can see the report called transaction detail report. By double clicking it and also going to the option command and selecting the date as all, we will be able to click OK, and we will be able to get the all transactions. So here is the transaction which we have completed up to now. So please check whether you are also having the same transaction numbers available in your backup file before you do the today's activity. Otherwise, please go back to the early lessons first and look at those sessions, and also complete the handouts before we come and practice this particular handout. As you can see, we need to complete by now 64 transactions, and all the transactions will be recorded into the system, and that will be there in the system. I hope everyone is having that. And now we are moving into the today's discussion and see how we can collect the money from customers and any other sources. As I mentioned earlier in the handout, so we can go to the first of all main menu command, task command, and there in the sales section you can see the customer section. There's a separate command called receipt which you can click, and that will open up the receipt window, right? So this will be the receipt window whereby you can do your transaction. That is the first method. Second method, if you are in the customer sales module, so if you need to go to the customer sales module, in the path you can see after the finance charges, next button is called receive money option. By clicking that button and selecting the receive money from customers, you will be able to access into the same receipt window. So that is the second method. Third method, if you go to the banking module, under the banking module also you can see separate section for the receive money, whereby we can click the receive money option and click receive money from customers. That will open up the same window. So this will be the window or the source document which will help us to collect money from the customers, as well as any other source income receiving by the company. Let me go through this particular window and give you the brief introduction to the particular information available in the window, and then we will process to our discussion and enter in the data into the system. Now here you can see at the top there's a box whereby you can enter the deposit ticket ID. Now this deposit ticket ID is the bank slip number. At the time when the check is depositing into the bank, we have to enter the bank deposit slip number, which will help us to do the reconciliation of the bank statement. Now in this situation, if the check is deposited same day, you should enter the deposit ticket number. That means that particular check is directly deposited into the bank account of the company. If you collect the dated check, in that situation, we are not going to enter any number into the deposit ticket ID at the collection time. When the money is collected, you will be getting the dated check, and you will be not entering any deposit ticket ID for that check. You will be collecting it and putting that into your safe, and later date you can deposit that with the deposit slip number. So remember, if you enter the deposit ticket number there, that means you have been depositing that check immediately into the bank. on the receiving date. If you are not entering the deposit ticket ID, mean that particular check need to be deposited to the bank in a later date, right? Then the reference, generally reference number need to be the check number which you are going to receive from the customer. Your customer may be paying with the check. So if you are accepting the checks, then you have to enter that check number as a reference number. Or if you are receiving the money on cash, then in that case, enter the cash reference there. Then the receipts need to be issued to each and every money receiving options, whereby you need to give the receipt to the customer. So you enter the first receipt number here, then the system will recognize that and automatically he will generate the required receipts for your customers. Then the date of receiving the money. So you can go to the calendar and set your date according to the receiving date of the money from the customer. And then you can select the options whether you are going to receive the money cash, check, Visa or MasterCard. Depending on that, you can appropriately select the appropriate account to be debited. So if it's a cash in hand account. If it is a check, then either VOC or the HNB account need to be selected, right? So that is the thing. Now credit card, when you are using the credit card, there's a button, so the online processing need to be required, that need to be set up earlier. So we have not used that function in these particular sessions. Then according to the selected option, you should go to the database and select the appropriate account to be deposited. If it is a cash in hand account need to be taken like a debit account for the deposits. Then if the customer, now from here you can see the customer ledger is linked and we can select our customers. Once you select the customer, all outstanding bills will be appearing in your screen. If the customer is going to repay related to the outstanding bills and full payment is made, then you should go to the pay box and put a tick. If the customer is paying the full payment and eligible to get the discount, then we have to again click the pay box. Then it will be deducting the discount and collecting the money from the customer. Now you can see outstanding bill of the second item is 178,200. By the time he is eligible to get the discount, around 3,500. And after deducting the discount, the money we have received 174,636 rupees. So in that case, right? So if it is a part payment, then we can type the amount we received, similar to the suppliers module. So you can type that money you receive. So according to that, if the part payments are made, even these discounts are not eligible to get, right? So that you can see as well. So that is the first option, whereby we can collect the money from customers for the outstanding bills, right? Now, how can we do the cash sales? In this situation, again, you can see apply to invoice tab and apply to revenue tab is there. So if the customer is going to purchase something on cash basis, immediately making the payment, coming to the counter, then you go by apply to revenue tab. In that situation, you can select the item and then you can enter the quantities to the customer, whereby you can see immediately money receive option is available there. So the money and VAT also you can apply. If the VAT is applicable, you can see at the bottom, whereby you can apply the VAT, and then the VAT calculations are added and the total payment will appear, and he may be paying that with cash or the check, right? So this is the option whereby no invoices were issued to the customer. That is, only the receipt will be issued to the customer by giving the goods, right? So that is the second option available in this particular window, right? So let me remove that also. This is the dummy we are doing. And then if this customer is making you the prepayment, then you can see the prepayment box is there, whereby we can tick on to that. Then we can enter the description and the value we received. All these transactions and the amount recorded under each of these situations will be generating the journal entries, and you can see those journal entries from the journal button. And if you are satisfied with the transaction double entries, then to post that transaction into the ledgers, we can click the save button. Meantime, printing options are available, whereby you can print this receipt. You must reference number, right? So we have to enter the reference number to get the check views of the receipt printout these items. So we can see the printout. Receipt number also need to be entered. So I can enter 00 and then go to the print option and preview. So we can see the preview of the particular item. So this is the print option whereby you can give the receipt to the customer by printing it. So this is what we can do with the particular given window. Other than that, if the money refunded from the suppliers, then we can change the ID to the vendor ID, customer ID, and then we can select the appropriate supplier who is going to return the money to us and enter the description, and the value need to be entered, whereby you can accept the refunds from the suppliers. So these are the all options available here under this particular window. Other than that, if you are receiving money for the other sources, other income, for example, you are receiving for the rent income, then in that case suppliers are not involved. You should enter the income name under the name. So whereby we can type rent income, and then appropriately we can enter all other information similar to that, and no items will be selected. Enter the description, say monthly rent, and then make sure you need to select the appropriate credit account or the income account relevant to the rent. So if you have created the separate income account to get this money, so we can go to the rent income account. So if you have such account, we can get. If it is account is not there, you can create. So let me put that into the other income, and then you put the amount you receive from the particular person as a rent. So this particular journal entry will show rent income or the other income account is going to be credited 80,000, and money received to the particular account is going to be debited 80,000. So that is the perfect journal entry for any other income. So remember, any other income received need to be recorded under the same option, right? So now we know how to record all these transactions related to the customer receipts, and let's go to the handout and do the real activity given in your case studies. So we'll go back to our handout and moving into the activity number 1 of the chapter 12, applying customer receipt to the outstanding sales invoices. First of all, we will learn how to receive the money for the outstanding sales invoices. All the options and the steps are given here, and also explaining the deposit ticket ID will appear in a reference when reconciling the bank account. You can enter the deposit ticket ID as appropriate when the receipts of the check are deposited to the bank account on the receive date. However, if the received date and the deposit date is different, don't enter deposit ticket ID at the time of receipt. When you deposit the received check in the bank account on the later date, you can assign the deposit ticket ID. So please remember that. Then go to the activity number 12.1, where you are asked to record the following customer receipts for your company as given below. So there are, you can see the deposit ticket IDs are given for the several items, and these dashes are also not necessary. You keep this empty, otherwise the dash will count as also the reference, right? So keep it empty all the time, and then you enter the data. So whereby then we can enter this transaction now into the system by using the receipt window. So how to do that? Any option, you can access to the receive money option. So I'll be using the banking module this time and going back to the bank receive money option and clicking the receive money from customers. Now we'll go to the handout and select the first customer, AMN001. So you select your customer. Once you select the customer, all outstanding belongs to the particular customer will appear in your screen up to now. Then as it is mentioned, this particular check will be deposited immediately into the bank. So we can enter the bank reference B001, and also we know the check number 700-100 that should be entered like a reference. 700-100, that is the check number which you are going to receive from the customer. So the next we can enter the receipt number for the customer. So we can enter the receipt number that is going to be the first receipt, R01. So that will be the receipt number 1 for the customer, which we can record. And the receiving money received on the 1st of April. So we can record that. Select the date, 1st of April, record it, the date, and then you can go to the payment method according to the given instruction. Payment is received by the check. So you should select the option called check and select the check option. Then after that, we can enter the appropriate banking account. This check will be deposited into the BOC clothing account that will be selected like a deposit account. So you select BOC clothing account from your account list. So that is 1250 CL BOC account. That will be the account which collect the money. And the sales invoice number which the customer is making the payment, invoice number is 1298. Total amount need to be paid 148,000. So you can check that. You can see the first particular invoice, outstanding amount is 148,000. Fully payment is made, so we don't have to type anything. We should go to the pay box and put the tick onto the pay box. So that brings you the total amount from the check number 700 100 148,000 rupees. So that will be recorded. That is the only payment made by this particular person. So then we can record this transaction. And also if you want to watch the journal entry, you can go to the journal and see how the double entries are going to update your ledger account. You can see particular customer ledger will be credited and then the bank account will be debited. So whereby the perfect journal entries are there, we can click OK, and to update your ledgers you can click save button. So that will be saving your information. So that will be the first transaction. Then you can select the second customer AVC001. Select your customer AVC001. Again, we can see many outstanding bills will be appearing there. Again, the same check will be deposited into the bank on the same day. We should enter the deposit ticket ID B next number 002. That will be the deposit ticket or the reference number, and the check which we have received in 501430. This check number received from the customer. And this time the second receipt is automatically appearing. We don't have to do that, so it will be appearing. And the date of the payment received 3rd of April. So you should go to the calendar and select the date. And this time also you are receiving money from check, and the payment method need to be check, and deposit account need to be selected next. So it is going to be the same account, BOC clothing account. And he is paying two invoices, 1300, 1330. So let's go to those two invoices. You can see the first invoice, which is value 108, full payment is made. Second invoice 1330, 45,000, full payment is made. So altogether two invoices are settled by a check 501430. Amount paid is 153,000. Immediately deposit into the BOC bank account. So that is the story. And discount and credits are applicable default settings. So there are no special discount offered to the particular default situation. So whereby we can accept. Again, if you want to see the journal entry, you can see the way how it is debited and credited into the account. Then click the save to update your ledger account. So the third transaction, so we will be selecting the next customer. No deposit, immediate deposit is mentioned. That means this dated check will be receiving by you. GGF001. Select your customer. All outstanding are there. So then we can fulfill the other requirement. Receiving check is 300,111. So that is the check number. This check is the dated check here, so that's why it is not going to deposit into the bank immediately. Receipt number 3, date of receiving the check is 14th of April, so we will be taking that on the 14th, but it is immediately not deposited. But we want to deposit this check later onto the BOC account. That's why you have to receive that as a check. An expected deposit account need to be selected, BOC account. And the payment made to 1290 invoice, and you can see he's giving only 120,000 and he's given manual discount of 2,000 rupees. So let's go to the invoice. Invoice is 122,000. You can put the tick onto the pay box, and meantime he's getting a cash discount, so whereby we can put 2,000 rupees discount to the customer. So actual amount you are going to receive by the check is going to be 120,000. So let's look at that journal entry. You can see given discount account is going to be debited, and also customer ledger is going to be credited full value, and amount received is going to be debited into the receipt account or your bank account, right? So it's a perfect journal entry. Again, click OK and save. So the next journal entry will be the next customer HIF001. Again the dated check not deposited immediately. So we will be putting that into the till at the moment. So the check number is 45650, 45650 receiving from the customer, and then the receipt number 4, it's automatically taken. Date of the payment 16th of April. So you can go to the 16th of April date, and then it is also checked, and check need to be deposited later into the BOC account. So we can accept the payment method check, and the BOC account need to be selected as a debit account, and two payments are made this time, one full payment and the part payment, and default settings are applicable. 1345, 1348 invoices. 1345 is 115,000 fully paid, and the second invoice is 85,000, but the part payment of 40,000 is made by the customer. So manually type the value. So altogether we got a check worth of 155,000, settling the full settlement of one invoice and the part payment to the next invoice. So then we can save and update our ledger accounts. Next payment, again you can see it is deposited immediately to the different bank. That's why the slip numbers are different. So TC001, let's select the customer, TC001. So it's a textile business customer, so we can go for that. And then training, I think. So it's a deposit ticket ID H001. That is the account deposit. And the check you received 221300, check number 221300. And the receipt number is correct. So the next receipt is issued to the customer. And also you can see the date is 16th of April, same date you have received that. And that check is depositing into the HNB training account. So you should make sure that you are going to change the account numbers now. Select the HNB training account for this purpose. TR account, 1270 TR account. And it's check payment, and the payment received, amount received is 77,600, because customer will get the discount 2,400. So let's record that full payment and deducted default discount, and the payment you are receiving now 77,600 will be deposited immediately into the HNB training account. So it's another perfect transaction, and click the save to update your ledgers. So moving into the next transaction, again no deposit on the given date. GGF001 is the customer. Select your customer. There are 3 outstanding remaining from the customer. Now this time he is paying the check 300 to 30 number. 300 to 30 is the check number. Receipt number is automatically taken, receipt number 6, and payment received on the 30th of April, end of the month. And it is paid by check and expected to deposit this check into the HNB clothing account. So make sure select your account appropriately, HNB clothing account, that is 1250 CL account. And how he is going to settle the bills? As you can see, he is going to settle the invoice number 2 by paying only 95,213.65 and deducting the following information: default discount after applying the credit and the financial charges. All these need to be deducted by difference need to be paid by the check. So let's look at how to happen in these things. When it comes to the credit memos, you don't have any discount, so please remove the discount from the credit and settle all these things together. So the full payment to the invoice, and also settling the credit note, and also getting the financial charges. So the overall, after deducting and adding the additional information, the payment is made by the new check 97,403.05, right? So that is the value need to be recorded. Then you can save that as well. So now you can go to the list command and see all the checks what we have received up to now. So we can go to the list button under the same receipt window. You can see the list command. You just click the list command. Then you can see all the receipt you have received up to now. So we have received 6 receipts from the various customers. Out of that, 3 was deposited and 3 undeposited at the moment. So this is the situation at present, and then we know how to enter the receipts for the outstanding bills from customers, right? I hope you got the idea. Now we will go to the next activity. So you can see now some of these checks are not deposited into the bank. So let's look at next option 12.2.3, depositing undeposit checks. So when the checks are received on a dated checks, then you will be depositing that later date into the bank. Now how can you do that activity? So there we can see the several options are available whereby you can access into that particular window. One option is the task command. Under the task command, you can go to the select for deposit. Select for deposit, that will open up the window whereby we can deposit the undeposit checks, right? Select for deposit. So you can go to the task and then go to the select for deposit command. Second method, if you are in the banking module, you can see after the receive money option, you got another button called bank deposit. By clicking it and clicking the new bank deposit, you will be able to access to the same window. Third option, if you are in the customer module, then the last button is also going to be the bank deposit. Click that and click the new bank deposit will open up the same window. So this is the window which you can use to deposit the undeposit check. And also remember, we have three different accounts. So each account will show the undeposit checks. Now here we can see the CLHNB account having one check to be deposited. Now if you select the next bank account, BOC, there are three outstanding depositors remaining there which you have to deposit, right? Undeposit checks are there. And also if you go to the HNB other account TR, no amounts to be deposited. So only HNB clothing business as well as HNB BOC business having some checks to be deposited. So let's look at how to deposit those checks. So when you are depositing the check into the bank, what we need to do, we have to select the appropriate check. Then only we have to put the deposit ticket ID and then click the save button that will save the information. Here you can enter the tick onto this and enter the deposit ticket number and also the deposit date and then click the save button. So that will clear the checks to be deposited. Let me take the example. Now for example, we are asked to deposit the clothing business 300,111 check. So that is the first check. Tick onto that deposit box and then the date of the deposit is going to be 16th of April. Change your calendar to the deposit date and then enter the deposit ticket ID. B003 is the ID, so we can type that ID. B003 is the reference. So once you enter the reference and tick onto that, then click the save to save that and clear the transaction. So the next deposit ticket will be 450,650 clothing business. Next one, tick onto that and go to the other details whereby you can see the date of the transaction 17th of April, deposit date, and then the deposit ticket number B004 automatically taken. So then click the save button and update. Finally, one more check is there. So to deposit, so you can select uh, clothing business check number 645789. So select that one. So last check and the deposit ticket number is next number B005 correctly taken, but the date need to be 20th of April, deposit ticket date. Select the date as 20th of April. Then save it, and this particular bank, all the checks outstanding will be now deposited into the bank account. We got one more check available in the HNB account. Let's select that. So this is the check number 300,230 that will be deposited on 23rd of April and the deposit ticket ID H002. So tick onto the check and enter the deposit ticket ID H002 and also check the date. Deposit date need to be 23rd of April and then clear it by clicking the save command. So all outstanding checks what was remaining there in your till was now deposited into the appropriate bank account, right? All these things are entered. So that is the way how you can enter the undeposit check into the bank deposit. Next, we will look at how to record the cash sales. As you can see, 12.3 activity is going to be recording cash sales. So similar to the cash purchase, we can also do the cash sales to the customers. In this situation, we are going to use the same window. So by using the same window, we can record the cash sales. Here is the sum of the activities which was given for you to record as a cash sales to the customers for your own business organization. So to look at how to record that, we will go back to our package, and if you are in the customer sales module, then you can go to the receive money option and click the receive money button, and then click the receive money from customers, whereby you will be accessing into the receipt window. Now using this receipt window, as you can see, when you are recording the cash sales, you should record these items under the apply to revenue tab. Apply to revenue tab. So to do that activity, let me take the example straight away. As you can see, the first transaction which was happening with the given customer on our own database customer, whereby we will accept his check and also deposit that into the bank immediately. Your deposit ticket ID also given. So in that case, we can start with entering the deposit ticket ID B006. That is your deposit ticket ID. Then you can go to the customer and select your customer from the ledger GGF001. So we select the customer. So the customer detail will appear there. Then we go to the other information. First of all, the reference number is the check number given by the customer, 300,130. We can enter that. And also we have to give the receipt for the customer. So our receipt number is going to be R07. R07. So we will enter that. And next will be the date of the transaction, 21st of April. So you can set the calendar 21st of April. And the payment made by check, that check will be deposited immediately into the BOC clothing account. So change the account to the BOC clothing account. Right? So the next will be the item. Item he is going to purchase from us using the cash payment. CTL001 50 units. So we can go to the item list and select CTL001 50 unit. So that you have to enter under the apply to revenue tab. Then automatically it will be going to the relevant sales account and the unit value will be appearing, but we need to check whether we are offering him the special price. So we need to check that by going to the unit price drop down and see whether it's a special price. Then the total value will applicable. Then also we can select the VAT 8%, and the VAT applicable to this particular transaction is 4,860, and he will be paying with the check 65,610 to us with the VAT. So that is the transaction, whereby we can save that transaction and then complete it. So this will directly update your ledger account. So if you want to see the journal entry, you can go to the journal and see how the ledger accounts are going to be updated. As I told you, immediately cost of sales and the inventory calculations are going to happen. So that means you have two journal entries, first the sales and then the cost calculation. The sales items will be credited to the Inland Revenue Department, the VAT portion, and also the sales account is going to be credited of the sales value. Total value will be debited into the customer, and the immediate cost calculation for the item will happen. And also if you want to see the printout of this particular preview of the printout, we can see that how the invoice is printed. So this will be the cash sales receipt which was given to the customer. So that's it. To update the record, we can click the save button. Then we will move on to the next customer. Next customer is the new customer. He's no need to maintain in the database. So these customers are not having the databases. So that's why it's called one-time customer. He just come and purchase something and go. So we don't have to maintain their records in the system. In that case, we are not going to the customer ledger. We will be creating him as just a customer. So you can enter his name. Enter his name, Kumar. Just enter his name. That's enough, because you enter his name under the name and then go to the other details and enter the reference. Cash payment cash 01 is the reference. Cash 01 is the reference. Then we'll go to the receipt number 8 is issued, and the date of the transaction is going to be the 23rd of April. This is the cash sales, 23rd of April, and it is paid by cash, and the cash will be collected into the cash in hand account. So make sure you select the appropriate accounts all the time. Cash in hand account, and meantime he is going to purchase saris SR001 10 unit at the normal price. Saris SR001 quantity requested 10, and the price need to check whether it's a normal price for the customer. So if it is not normal, then put it into the normal price. So it's 1 unit will be 1,800, 10 will be 18,000, and the VAT 8% applicable 1,440. Total value he is going to pay it by cash 19,440. So the journal entry is similar to the early one. You can see immediately items are updated correctly, and then click the save to update your ledger accounts. Next, again we got a single customer, one-time customer, Lianage. So we will be taking his name, also entering under the name, place of name, you enter the customer name, Lianage. Then go to the other details. Cash 2 is the reference, cash 02 is the reference number, and the receipt number 9 is correct. That is the receipt number we need to issue, and the transaction happened on the 24th of April. Move on to the one more date, and cash payment, cash goes to the cash in hand. This time he is buying two items, t-shirts 5 units, t-shirts, we can go to the t-shirts, and he's buying 5 unit. And what is the price we are selling to him? It is going to be the normal price. Please check that, get the normal price for the customer, normal price. And also CTG001 item, next line, and he's buying quantity of 10 with the special price, 10 unit. For that particular item we are going to give him a special price, so we have to select the special price. Total value come to this, add in the VAT 8%, total value will come to 26,730 paid by cash, and get that goes to the cash in hand account. So update your records. Next customer is going to be the new customer, whereby the create a new customer using the following information is given. So that is the customer we are going to create now. So first of all, we have to take his code, because the code is given, and then you go to the database and click the new button. Then create the new customer by entering the code first of all, and then appropriately enter the other details. Name of the customer WAL Fashion. So we will enter the name of the customer. Under the name and very basic information what is provided can be entered. 400 Maharagama is the location of the customer. So we will be entering that information as well. Billing address number 400, and check whether the Maharagama is already available, and select Maharagama or enter. And the type need to be clothing customer. So he is also going to under the clothing business, select the type clothing, and his telephone number is provided. We will be entering that as well. So that will be the final details to click and create the new customer. So we have created the new customer. Terms and conditions are all not mentioned. That means those are defaults. Save, close, and then select your customer from the ledger. New customer is now added. It's going to be WAL Fashion. So you can select the particular customer and then go to the other details and enter the transaction. So your transaction need to be it is immediately, check will be immediately deposited into the bank, so that the check number is the deposit number is H003. So we will be entering the reference H003, that is the reference number of the deposit number, and the check which we have received 620,100. We will enter the check number 620 620,100. That is the check number given by the customer. Then the receipt number is automatically taken, receipt number 10, and then the check payment. So we have to convert, and check will be deposited into the given bank HNB clothing account. So carefully select your account, HNB clothing account, CL account HNB. And then he is buying kit pack 3 unit with the normal price. So we have to select the new item kit pack and to enter the quantity 3 which we have manufactured or the assemble, and the price need to be the normal. So it's 1,950 per unit, and the total value will be 5,850. VAT is applicable, so we can select the VAT 8%, and the total he is going to pay it by the check 6,318 rupees to our business. So we will be entering that and then saving the new customer with the transaction. Finally, we got one more customer. H004 is the deposit ticket ID. It's going to be the HNB trading account this time. So we will go to the deposit ticket ID H004, and the customer is going to be TC001, training customer connect TC001, and the reference number is the check number of the customer 300,768, and the receipt number is issued receipt number 11. No, it's need to be 12, right? So there will be some more transaction in between. So enter the number R12, receipt number 12, and date of the transaction is going to be end of the month, 30th of April, and it is paid by check. Check will be this time depositing into the HNB training account. So make sure proper account is selected. It is going to be the training account, and he's going to purchase the item training materials TRA001 item, which we have created the card. So we will go to that. We have created the card, so we will select TRA001 card. Here the one training material, and how many quantities is going to get our training. So that is the training hours. We got hourly rate, so it is going to be 60 hours of training requested from us. So we will take in 60 hours, and the hourly rate will be 2000 rupees, and non-taxable item. Normal price is applicable, so you can see it is a normal price 2000 rupees, and 120,000 rupees need to be paid, and he is paid by the check. So no tax applicable, not applicable tax. So that is the tax exempted item. So we have completed all the cash related sales, and now we will go to the list and check how much of transactions we have completed under the receipt list. So you can see there are two checks to be two cash sales where the references are not available, and deposit ticket numbers are available for other item, and that goes to the different levels, right? So these are the references given to the different item, and two items are cash sales whereby you can see no references are given. So at the moment you have completed transactions related to the sales, 11 transaction. And also we will go back and check our total details of the package, and we can go to the report and forms, and then we will move on to the general ledger, and from there go to the transaction detail report, and go to the option button and select all transactions and click OK. So these are the transactions up to now we have completed for our own companies. So whereby go down and see how many transactions have been completed by now, all of you. So a lot of transactions, 75 transactions have been completed by now. So the total value will be 12,957,913 worth. So these are the current situation of the company. So we'll move on to the next activity, entering the amount paid at sales. Now this particular transaction cannot be done using the receipt window. Now it says enter the amount paid at sales. So we need to go to the sales invoicing. From the invoice, at the time when you are invoicing to the customer, you may be taking the part payment from him. So in the case, if the customer is making the part payment at the time of the sales, we should accept that, and then we can record that. For that, we have to go back to the sales invoicing option. So let me come to the example 12.4. So this is the customer who is going to purchase some item from us under the invoice number SI008, and meantime when he purchased the item, he is going to make the part payment to us 40,000 rupees. So let's look at how to record this type of transaction. We'll go back to the main menu, and then we can select, if you are in the customer module, go to the sales invoicing option and click the new sales invoice. Then you can go to the details. You can enter the customer ID WAL001, our own customer. All the details will appear automatically. Then we will go to the date of the transaction, 28th of April. Go to the calendar and select the date, 28th of April. So that will be the date. Next, we will move on to the invoice number SI008. You can enter that. SI008 is the invoice number. Then order number is not available, so we don't have any order numbers. So we'll go to the apply to sales tab, and the method is using customer pickup. We can select the method, customer pickup method. Select the customer pickup method, and then you go to the other details, items. Account is automatically appearing, no need to change. Sales, that is customer's account or the GL account receivable. He is going to purchase BL001 30 units. First we will select BL001 30 unit and given by the normal price. Check the unit price, normal price. And then the second item you are going to select CTG001 and the quantity required. So we are selling 30 units with the normal price again. So we will be selling 30 units and it is going to be the normal price again. So the total value come without VAT is 103,500. Then check whether the VAT applicable. Yes, 8%. So we can apply the VAT 8% from the system. So the total will come to 111,780 with the VAT. So that will be recorded. Then after that you can see the freight charges. Delivery charges also charged by us to the customer 1000 rupees. So you can see the place where the freight is available. Type there 1000 rupees additional charges, and the total value will go up to 112,860. 860, and then we can record the items accordingly. Amount paid at the sales is going to be 40,000 rupees. So that you need to go to the item called amount paid at sales. Click that and then record the amount paid at sales 40,000 rupees. Value need to be entered and it is paid by check or the cash. So we can check that it is paid by the check and the reference number is 620 130. So you enter the reference 620 130 is the reference number. That will be the check reference 620 130, and then it is paid by check, and check will be deposited into the appropriate account. Bank account we was given HNB clothing account. So we need to select HNB clothing account, and also it is deposited on the same day and the deposit ticket number is given H005. So we can enter the deposit ticket number H005 and then click OK to confirm this part payment, and you can see now the part payment is recorded. At meantime balance remaining is 72,860. If you go to the journal entry here, you can see the two different type of journal entries. First journal entry is the sales journal for the item you sold, and all these items need to go to the same account, clothing business. And the second journal entry will be the cash receipt journal entry, whereby you can see the payment made by the customer at the time of sale. So carefully look at this. There are two journal entries. Sales journal, whereby the sales accounts and the other respective accounts will be updated, and meantime the sales will be recorded as a cash receipt, and that will be recorded into the cash sales account as well. So then click OK, and to confirm your recording and save that, click the save button. So after finishing that also we can go back to the list and you can see the list updated to 13 transaction by now. I hope you got the idea how to enter that particular transaction as well. Then we are moving into the another type of payments receiving from the customers. This is called customer prepayment or customer advance payment without doing any kind of service or the goods transferred to the customer. Customer may pay you advance or the prepayment. So how can we accept the prepayment, and then after that how to settle this prepayment with the outstanding bills or with the new invoices? We can see that by using this particular example. To do that again we need to go back to the receipt window whereby the money receive option, and then we have to do the activity accepting this money as an advance payment or the prepayment to us without delivering item. So to do that we will be taking the example 12.5. So we'll go back to the system, and this time you need to go to the receipt window and go to the receive money option and open up the receive money customer, and with that window we can do the activity. So we'll go to the activity. This time we are selecting the customer called AVC001. You select the customer, and also you know that check is going to be deposited immediately. So it is deposited into the HNB clothing account. Reference number is going to be H006, And then we are not going to pay these outstanding bills. We are not going to sell any item to this. This is going to be the prepayment recording. Then you should click the tick prepayment box, and that will change your window, and you should now enter only the description. Now go to the other details. Reference number is the check number 4553014555310. That is our check number what we have received from the customer. And receipt number is issued R11, so that is the receipt given to the customer. And the date of the transaction this time is going to be 28th of April. Go to the calendar and select the date, 28th of April. Next, we will be selecting the check, and check will be deposited into the HNB clothing account. And make sure you select the appropriate clothing account, that is the debit account. Then enter the description, prepayment by the customer. So that will be the description, prepayment. And then we will be selecting automatically, the accounts are selected. You should not change that. An amount you have received from the customer is 50,000 rupees. Enter that. Once you enter all this information, you can see the journal entry. In this type of situation, your journal entry will be here. Payment goes to the credit side of the customer. That means customer is prepaid to you, customer credit, and your receipt window is going to be debited. So click OK, and to update your record you can click the save button. So that will be the recording for that particular transaction. So the next we will be doing the next transaction, how to set off the customer prepayment against the outstanding invoice. Now he has paid you 50,000 additional money. Now he is going to use that additional money to set off some of his outstanding bills available. So let's look at this example 12.6 and do that activity. So for that, again we have to select the same supplier and also use the same window. So we will be going back to the same window and selecting the same supplier. Customer, our customer will be ABC001, and this time he is going to settle these items with the outstanding bills. So let's look at the details. He is making another payment to you by the check 455340. So that need to be reference 455340, and also that check also deposit into the bank immediately. Reference number is H008, and then it is deposited. Receipt will be given on the R14. So the receipt number need to change slightly, and the date of the transaction, this was happening not in the April month, 2nd of May. So we have to go to the calendar, carefully change the date, 2nd of May, and that will be deposited into which account we need to check. That will be deposited into the clothing business. So select the HNB clothing, and then go to the other details, relevant sales invoice, which need to be applicable, this value SI001, and also it says the balance amount of the invoice received after applying discounts and advance payment if any. So අපිට කියලා තියෙනවා advance payment එකක් settle කරලා. So you can see he has paid the advance payment, that is recorded right 50,000 negative, and also the invoice number SI006 will be settling with the discount. So you click on that. That means the new check will be given to us, which will value 248,306.80. Okay, after paying all these amounts, and then go to the journal entry and see how this transaction will be recorded into the system. So the various accounts will be updated correctly, and we can click OK, and after that we will be recording as save and update your record. So this is how they make the payment and also settlement of the particular given situation. So we will be settling that and saving this transaction. So I hope you got the idea of how to do all these transactions, receiving money options from the customers. Various customers are involved, and at the end of the day, we have recorded everything into the customer ledgers. Next, we will look at how to write off the customer balance. One of the weakness in this particular software package is there's no specific option given to write off the customer. So the reason I don't know. So beyond that, so we have found the way how to do that. but this is not the proper way of doing this particular transaction. Anyhow, in our country, there are many bad debt options are appearing. In the case of the bad debt, how we can write off these bad debt or the unpaid amount from your customers if they are really not going to make the payments to you. So to do that again, we have to use the option called receipt. Actually, the receipt window is to collect the money from the customer. But now what we will be doing, we will be using the same option to write off certain customer invoices or the full value of the customer. Let's look at how to do that activity by using the activity number 12.7. In this activity, we asked to write off the one particular invoice or the certain transaction. It says record the following write-off of customer invoice. Deposit ticket ID is not applicable because no money is receiving from the customer. Your customer ID is AMN001 and the reference is given to identify this is the bad debt write-off BD01. No receipt number is issued for the bad debt write-off. And also the date will be the 30th of April. And also the payment method is not applicable, so you can have any payment method. And make sure, when the important thing is, the rather than selecting the cash account to debit, we need to select bad debt expenses account to put this. And this situation, we have to create the new bad debt account by using the suitable code. And also relevant sales invoice need to be write off the financial charges. Now we have charged the financial charges to the customer and we are going to write off that portion by using this situation. So to do that, again we need to go back to our original invoicing option and then we can go to the receive money option. So if you go to the receive money and click the receive money from customer, you will be able to do that by using this particular window. So let's look how to do this write off very carefully. First, you go to the customer and select the customer whom you want to write off, either full customer or the one particular invoice. So I am going to write off only the financial charges. AMN001, select your customer from the database, AMN001. Then you can see all the outstanding bills are appearing. So we'll ask to only write off the financial charges, that is 340.99 rupees from the customer ledger. So to do that, again we are going to the reference. No deposit ticket ID, no need to enter anything here. And then we have to select the reference number BD01. So the bad debt 01 write off it. And then no reference, no receipt is issued for this. And the transaction is going to happen on the 30th of April. At the end of the month, we are going to do that. And it is immaterial whether you have selected check or cash. And now we have to make sure that we are going to change this account and go into the expenditure category. As you can see from the information, we don't have bad debt account. We asked to create that. So we need to go to the drop down and then go to the new command and then check the expenditure accounts codes and create the appropriate account for that. So you can see bad debt you can create after this code. 8020 is the last code is taken. So I can take 8030 CL account. 8000 because this customer from the CL department. So we can create him as a CL account. 8030 new account CL, and the name of the account is going to be the bad debt write-off bad debt write-off account, and the type of this account is going to be the expenditure category. And then you save that account and select here. So you need to select that account. That is not the correct way of doing that. You will get messages now saying this is not the cash type account. So here we can select only the cash type, but luckily we will be able to access to the whole ledger, whereby we can transfer that into the debit side of the bad debt account. Rather than accepting this as a cash debit, you put that into the debit side of the bad debt account. So normal double entry for the bad debt write-off account debit and customer credit. So that what we are going to do now. And we asked to write off only the financial charges, so we can put the tick onto that pay box. You can see now we will be writing off 340.99 from the customer, putting that into the bad debt. So if you go to the journal entry here, you can see the customer ledger is going to be credited and the bad debt account is going to be debited, though it is mentioned cash receipts. It is not the cash deposit account. We have created the new account called bad debt and put that. Now when you are going to save this transaction, you will be getting the messages, right? So sometimes you will get the message because it is not appropriate account is selected. Sometimes it may not tell in any message, but in the new packages, now in the Peachtree, no messages, it will process. Now when you go back to the list, you can see that particular transaction also included into the cash receipt list, but it is not actual receipt, right? So you got the idea how to write off your customer. So this is another important part of the discussion. Then lastly, we will look at how to generate the other income other than the customer receipt, writing of the bad debt and so forth. Let's look at how can we generate the other income if the incomes are generated by the company, such as the rent, such as the interest or some other kind of receipts which we are receiving from day-to-day transactions. So I have given two examples to do that. One of the item is going to be the rent income. Other item is the interest income, whereby we will record these two and see how to record this transaction, right? So in this case, customers are not involved. It's just the item, income item. So, and we will see how to do that. Again, to do that transaction, we need to go back to the receive money option. So we'll go to the receive money, select the same window, and the place of customer you should enter the name as the income name. Income again. Now first income is going to be the rent income. So you enter the name of the rent income there. Then you enter the deposit ticket ID that was deposited. H007 is the deposit ticket ID. We will enter that reference. And the transaction happened on 30th of April. So we'll select the 30th of April calendar. And the reference number is the check we are receiving 325,400 from the person. 325,400. And the receipt need to be given. So the receipt number 13 is used for that. R013. Receipt number 13. Sorry, R13. No zeros. R13. No need to change the order. R13 is the receipt number. And then it's paid by check, and check will be deposited into the HNB clothing account. So we have to make sure again we will be selecting the appropriate clothing business HNB account. HNB clothing account. That will be the account which the amount is deposited. Then the description need to be entered rent of April month 2020, right? So you can enter rent of April month 2020, only the description, enter that there and then make it 2020. This will be 2020 income, and that goes to the different account. Now you cannot put that into the same account whereby you will take the sales. So it is need to be recorded into the other income account. We need to find out whether we got a other income account to record that. So go down under the income category and you can see there's account created 4,150 CL account, that is going to be the other income. So put the amount, no taxes applicable, no unit price, total value you have received 150,000 rupees. So we will be recording 150,000 paid as a rent to our business. So the double entry, you can see the rent income account credit and your cash and bank account debit. Perfect journal entry and save and update. So the last transaction in this nature, it is going to be the interest income. So there's a no deposit and it's a cash payment, interest income received. So you enter that as a name of the transaction, interest income, no deposit ticket ID, no reference number is there, cash 5. Cash 5 is the reference, is a cash received. Cash 05 is the reference number, and the receipt is not issued, no receipt number, so we can erase the receipt number. No receipt is issued for the interest what we have received. We will delete that. And then the transaction happened on the same date, 30th of April, received by cash, and that goes to the cash in hand account. Put that into the cash in hand account. And then the description need to be the interest for the month of April 2020. We will be taking that interest for the month of April 2020. That is your description. And again, we have to check which account we are going to put this value. So we will be putting that value into the appropriate account. interest income account. There should be an interest income account. We are not asked to create the new account, so that means we should have a interest income account. So let's go down here. You can see the interest income 4100 CL. Take that and enter the amount, how much you receive, 120,000 rupees. So 120,000 rupees received like interest. So the double entry goes to the interest income account, credit, and debit to the cash account. So okay that, and confirm your transaction. Finally, we come to the end of the discussion of this particular topic as well, that is cash receipt cycle, how to enter the cash receipt. So we will be going to the list and checking how much of transaction completed by now. So all these are showing as a given month, but we have done something for the future period as well. All transaction will show you the exact number of transactions completed. As you can see, 16 transactions completed under the cash receipt cycle. Now we'll go finally to check our total transaction before we wind up this session and take in the backup of this particular company. So we can go to the report forms, and then we can go to the general ledger and select the transaction detail report, and then go to the option command and select all command and click OK. So you will be able to see all the transaction completed for your company at this moment. After finishing the lecture number 13, that will be the cash receipt cycle. So we are 82 transaction completed, close to 100 transaction which we are now coming in. Most probably we will be end up transactions around 90 or 100 transaction. I hope you got the idea. At the moment, this is the situation of your company. Now we can see the backup file. We need to take each of the lecture. So please go to the file command and then go to the backup and keep the company name there. Click backup, and then you can additionally you can enter the chapter number if you wish. Then you can refer to that. Chapter 13 is the one which we have completed just now. Then find out the place generally you save the transaction, and go to your folders. If it is folder in a specific folder, then you can go to the folder whereby you can open up your folder and save that correctly into the respective places. I maybe put that into the D drive. So let's select the drive and then go to the appropriate folder which you have created. I have created a folder for the computer-based accounting, and there we can, with the company name and the chapter number, you can click the save and confirm for the getting this backup. So that will be saved, and when it come to the last discussion, next discussion will be the last discussion. Now we have completed all the modules, all the activities relevant to each of these modules. What is left out is how to do the general journal entries. Now the transaction which cannot be posted through using the different modules, we will be posting through the journal entry. So I'll be talking about the depreciations, I'll be talking about the salaries, how to post it into the system, and various kind of other expenditures if you are incurred, which cannot be used any of these modules to do the transaction. And also there are various type of recurrent entries and memorizing the transaction and so forth activities are there, whereby we will go to the last lecture discussing the general journal entries next time. By the time we have completed all the activities relevant to the chapter number 13, sorry, chapter number 12. So the 13 will be the next chapter, that going to be the journal entries, and final chapter will be the chapter number 14. So it is going to be the chapter number 12, right? So we have completed our discussion and then process the data, and also you need to practice your own companies which is given the class activities, which will be not discussing in the during your live lecture session. So please make sure continuously update your own company as well. Uploaded handouts will be there. Download those handouts and use the Peachtree package and do at practice it. Okay.